Hello everyone! Today I will cover some more gold flips and investments that I plan to do in early classic Season of Mastery. The items that I will talk about today, I will invest into and sell at a later point. Maybe a few weeks later or in another phase. If you're interested in gold making and investment videos overall, then make sure to check out the channel because there will definitely be posted a lot of different gold making videos. The first item that I will talk about is the fused wiring. This will drop at around level 30 to 40, for example in Strangleform Whale, but also when people do the dungeon Gnome again. The reason why I will invest my gold into this item is because you use this for engineering, for example when you have to craft the repair bot, but also when you have to craft the invisible trinket. The repair bot will be mandatory for most raiding guilds. The reason for this is because you can then repair inside the raid and you don't have to go to a main city or maybe to a city to repair your items. So this way you will also save a lot of time, and therefore the repair bot will also be needed and the material to craft it. The next item is the golden pearl. You find these in giant clams, and these you start getting at around level 40 and all the way up to level 60. The golden pearl might not be that expensive in the beginning, because a lot of people will be leveling and killing monsters that drop the giant clams. But at some point more people will get to 60 and they don't want to go back and farm these. Therefore, the price will increase for this item. But why do people need the golden pearl? Well, you need this in different professions, for example for the spell power enchant on weapon. And as people get to level 60 and they get some decent weapons, for example epic weapons from Molten Core, then they also want to enchant this gear. When this happens, then the price will also increase for the golden pearl, because there's going to be a higher demand compared to the supply. The last reason why I recommend people to invest into the golden pearl is because you will need 4 of these if you plan to craft this priest chest as a tailor, and this is pre-raid biz for Holy and Disc Priest. Next up is the small flame sack. These will be so cheap in the beginning because so many people will also find these when they're leveling. You do for example get this material when you slay different dragons. The small flame sack is used for fire protection potions. When people are leveling and on their way to 60, they will not need this potion. But as more people get to level 60 and start doing Molten Core, Onyxia, but also Blackwing Lair at a later point, then there will also be a higher demand for the fire protection potion. By that point, the price for the small flame sack will also increase. When the average player is around level 30, more of these will also show up on the auction house, and by that time the price will be next to nothing for this material. When people are out there leveling, then some of them will also be leveling herbalism at the same time. If that's the case, they will most likely also find Swift Fistle. This herb is not that important in the beginning of classic Season of Mastery, but once people get to level 60, then the price for this item will start to increase by a lot. As a rogue, you can for example craft the Fistle Tea. This will instantly restore 100 energy when you drink it. If you like to do PvE, so for example raiding, then this will have a huge impact, but especially in PvP situations, because the 100 energy might make you able to take down an opponent before they get out of your stun. Swift Fistle is also used in another consumable, for example in the Swiftness potion. This potion increases your movement speed by 50% for 15 seconds. Just like the other materials, then the Swift Fistle will also start to increase as people get to level 60. If you bought this early on, you would have been able to get these fairly cheap, but as people get to level 60, they have more gold. And for that reason, the price for all materials should also start to increase, but especially for the Swift Fistle. Before I continue with the remaining investments, then I always recommend people to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you do this, and if you're interested in classic gold making and investment videos, then you will also get notified whenever I post a new video. And if you get notified, there's simply also a higher chance that you will be able to invest into these items before everyone else. Anyway, enough with the self-promotion, let's get back into the investments. The next item that I will invest into is the recipe for the Greater Arcane Elixir. It will probably not be on auction house for the first week. The reason for this is because it's a high level recipe and you need people to reach level 60 or close to 60 before it will start to show up on auction house. In the beginning, people will be so desperate to get enough gold for the epic mount, and therefore you will most likely also be able to buy this recipe for next to nothing, or well, for a couple of 100 gold. In original classic, the price for this recipe went up to around 500 and all the way up to like 1200 gold for each recipe. When the price for this recipe is so expensive, then it's also a low amount of people who have learned it. Those who have decided to learn the recipe themselves can also make a huge profit for all of Classic, because the Greater Arcane Elixir will be needed for all of Classic. When I have this recipe myself, then I like to buy the materials on Auction House, convert it into the Elixir and repost this on Auction House to make the profit. I also like to do another thing, for example to charge a fee for doing the craft for other people. So they bring me the materials, I convert it into the Elixir and they give me some gold for doing the job. The next material is the label asset. This will start to show up on Auction House when people get to around level 55 and start doing Eastern Plaguelands. In Eastern Plaguelands you can collect these. They will most likely not be that expensive when people are not 60 yet. But when people get to level 300 in leatherworking, they can also make this epic cloak, and this is pre-raid biz for healers. When you need to craft this cloak, you will also need the label asset, and therefore this material will also start to increase in price. I can't remember the exact price that I used to buy these for in original Classic. I believe it was around 1 gold for each of these. At a later point the price for this went up to around 4 to 6 gold for each of them. So if you buy them early on and you hold on to them, then you might also be able to make a decent investment. The next material will be a guaranteed profit, and we're talking a big profit. If you buy these early on, you will make so much gold. In Season of Mastery, Molten Core and Onyxia has been buffed, so it's going to be more difficult to do these raids. But why will these raids have an impact on the price for the Elemental Fire? Well, in the raids you will take a lot of fire damage, and the Elemental Fire is used to craft the Greater Fire Protection potions. These potions will be mandatory in case you plan to do raiding. And when you need 40 people with these, and you might use a lot of them during the raid, there will also be a high demand for the Elemental Fire. And you usually farm these at a lower level, so people will have to go back to the open world and farm these. And when there's a high competition for an item, the price will also increase. So buy these early on when people are leveling and they don't need the Elemental Fire. I know that the next recipe is a low level recipe. You only need alchemy level 120 to craft this. For the first couple of phases this will definitely not be expensive. But as you get to a later phase when you need the poison resistance, for example in AQ, then the price for this will also go up. So for the first couple of phases you will most likely be able to get these for next to nothing. At a later point, so if you hold on to this for like half a year, you can also make a big profit. I know this is a long-term investment, but if you do the long-term investments, you will also be able to make the highest profit. At least I will be investing into these. Nonetheless, then I hope you enjoyed this investment video. If you would like to see other investment videos, or maybe gold farming at low level, but also at max level, then make sure to check out the channel. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing day. Peace.